Common Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please, Carol.
Steve Beardsley is absent. Isaac Chavez.
Present.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Present.
John Large.
Present.
Robert Stevens.
Present.
Clarence Worthen.
Present.
Eric Woods.
Present.
Okay, next we have the minutes on the agenda from May 12th, which was a regular meeting, and May 12th, we had a work session afterwards.
Move to approve minutes, or can you guys want to do this both in the same one? I'll move to motion to approve minutes from May 12th and work session minutes from May 12th.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Abstain.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, did we have any public comments? Nothing? Okay. Next on the agenda, we have ordinance number 25-07.
I'll move to read ordinance 2507 by title only.
A second.
Roll call, please.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Additional appropriation ordinance number 25-07.
Okay, and since this is for an additional appropriation, we will have to have a public hearing. So if you want to, you can just pass that on first reading. We can't do first and second, so.
Would you like me to?
Did anybody have any
this?
questions on this, or?
Yeah, I'd like to hear situation here, why we doing this.
So we have three different appropriations that we're looking at. There is a request from the street department for a tipper attachment for the sanitation trucks. This allows the can to be lifted mechanically with an arm, but it would go on one of our older vehicles. Right now, they still have areas that require
The backload.
pickup.
Yeah, the
Yes.
backload.
Okay.
Then we are in need of an ADA compliance consultant. We do have some funds in Riverboat, but we would need that increased to be able to do this for the entire year. This allows us to be in compliance with ADA, which we need to have in order to qualify for several grants. And then we also have a need for funds in the unemployment general fund line, as we've been paying more unemployment than anticipated this year. So we do have that need.
So I can just say real briefly, I did talk with Reedy on the one in sanitation and also in Riverboat, and they felt like we had sufficient funding in there to do additional appropriations. I always want to make sure. I thought it looked like it, but they said we were in good shape. Brian's here if you have any questions for him on what a tipper is or how that's used. And then also, I just want to tell you that how important it is for ADA compliance. Over the next 20 years, we're going to have a lot of different situations, but in order for us to qualify for grants, we have to have this ADA compliance. We're going to start a working document on there. You have to put what has to be corrected, and then as you correct it, but it's called, we have a transition plan, and we have to constantly keep that updated. So when we apply for a grant, they come back, they want to know if you're doing what you're supposed to, if you've passed it, if you've signed off on it. So this is going to be a continuing cost to the city. But when you look at different grants, I know like the South Mash Road, we're going to be at about a $9 million project. And if we don't keep our plan up or do like they've asked us to, we could forfeit that funding, so.
Is this anticipated annually that we'll need to have a consultant at this level?
With this additional plus what we already had this year, we're hoping will get us through this year. But I'm going to say every year after that is probably going to run around the $40,000 range. But we're hoping that we can get everything. We have to go through every building. We have to keep the plan updated. And like I said, it's a working document. So we'll see how this gets us through this year and then plan for next year in the 2026 budget.
I understand 40,000 sounds like a lot of money, but with the grants and everything else, it'd be a lot more. I mean, it's gonna be expensive, but it's gonna save us 10 times that much.
Oh, yeah, yeah. They will turn you down on grants if you do not have that. They're giving us time to get it done. It's just what they make us do to get ready for that. Do you know what I mean? We have to keep that list going. And Dawn is going to work on it with Tim Clark. They're going to go around to all of our different departments. We also have a committee that's city, county. That's the same consulting firm that the county uses as well. So we have a committee put together, an ADA committee that also we use Tim for. But they're being pretty strict on these ADA compliances, so. And Dawn's working on some issues that we're going to take care of this year at Old Stony, but just work our way through them throughout the years.
Yeah, it's going to be a long-term,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
As far as the truck that goes, the street department,
yeah.
now that goes like on a dump truck, what will that go on?
it'll go on one of those rear load
Oh,
trucks.
rear load?
Yeah, it goes on one of the rear load trucks.
So that's gonna save a lot of man hours.
Yes.
So I mean, one employee is more than 16,000 for a year.
It's going
So I think
to,
it's good.
and save on injuries again, there again, because they're rear loads, so.
Exactly right. It's a good deal.
So that's gonna be a money
with
saver
that.
also.
And didn't you say one of the trucks has one? Does one of the trucks already have
No.
a tipper? No, you don't have
This
any
is what I'm
tippers?
looking for is a dual, because they do sell them where you can just put one tipper on the back, but there's a lot of areas that we go through now that there's cans that haven't even been dumped yet, so we want to make sure every can gets actually dumped. But these will be dual, so if a truck, one of the side loads does break down, we can take this truck out, go straight down Gentry, 2 guys can each grab a can. It just is more efficient, faster, get it done quicker, and get everything officially dumped. Because if a truck breaks down and we do go out by hand, we can't, there's people that just dump loose stuff in there, we can't pick out loose stuff by hand. So,
And there again, less injuries
Yes.
possible.
Okay.
Does anybody have any other? And the unemployment, like she said, we've had, different claims for unemployment. We didn't have that much budgeted in the beginning, so,
I'd like to make a motion to pass ordinance number 2507 on first reading.
okay, I have a first for that. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez. Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance number 25-07 passes on first reading. Next, we have ordinance number 25-08 on first reading. Do I have a motion to?
I'll move to pass 2508, oh, I'm sorry, read by title only.
I'll second that.
Does he need it? Does he need one?
I've got one as well.
21. You need a copy? I got one.
Okay, Eric, you made the motion. Who's the second? Did we have a second? Clarence? Okay. Do we have any other questions? Okay.
Roll call, Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Common Council, City of Frankfort, Indiana, ordinance number 25-08, an ordinance establishing a designated outdoor refreshment area, DORA.
Do you have any questions, or Kimberly's here tonight if you do before you want to talk this for a second, Kimberly?
I personally think it's a great idea.
Oops, wrong way. First of all, thank you, Alicia, for helping put this all together. I just kind of gave you some guidelines, and we looked at some other examples of what's going on across the state, and came up with one that we thought would fit best for the city of Frankfort. I have Kim Stevens here as well for Frankfort Main Street. They'll play an intricate part in this. This is just our city of Frankfort's role is the first step is through this ordinance. So on the back page is where the map would be. We just thought it would be easiest to be as a square, but we can change it how you guys see fit. And then Alicia has in here language that talks about specific ounces that have to be for mixed drinks, beer and wine, those type of things. And then the hours, and the big caveat of all of this is that they would have to apply and have Board of Works and the mayor's approval for any DORA. So Alicia, if you want to elaborate, that'd be fine.
Yeah, so instead of, so per state statute, we can pick specific days or specific events that are going to be DORA events, or we can have that go through the Board of Works and have approval each time we decide to establish a DORA. And after speaking with Kimberly, it was recommended that we just have the Board of Works approve it individually, so that way we can control what events are going to be DORAs, and we don't have to go back and revise the ordinance if something, one event doesn't work out or something like that. So this allows us to establish those events on each independent basis. They would fill out an application that would go to the Board of Works, and then the Board of Works would have to approve that, and they could set the specific hours for that. Generally speaking, we do have hours in the ordinance that the DORA district would stop, but if they wanted to restrict it for some reason because there was something else going on or something like that, they could do that. And so that's why we set it up that way. It also lists the type of containers that are allowed to be used, the type of signage, all of that is required by the state statute. So this complies with all of those things and also provides the map of where the DORA district would be.
What type of event are we thinking about? I mean, is it just an open thing, or?
They would have to be events approved by the city. So if you want to do like a sip and shop, 9 times out of 10, I'd probably see this being a city event or a Frankfort Main Street event, potentially a Clinton County Chamber social event. But the reasons we put the hours in there was to kind of coincide. If we did concerts down at Prairie Creek Park, it would fit with within those guidelines that we already have set.
Okay.
It has verbiage in here that if a business does not want to be involved with DORA, that they would have signage on their door that would let people know that they're not a DORA participant.
Additionally, any participating business also has to have signage on their door indicating that they are a participant, and there are special glasses that they would have to use. They're not glass, they're plastic cups, but special cups that they would have to use for the DORA purposes.
The question I have is, this map, what's the advantage of allowing, does people get to carry drinks around that whole area
Yes.
during those events? Is that what, they can go all the way out
Yes.
to these other
Yes.
streets with their drinks?
So there has to be signage, and once a DORA is set up, you can't go from one DORA to another DORA. So if you had a drink in DORA 1 and you decided that DORA wasn't big enough, so you made a second DORA, you couldn't, your drink had to stop at the sidewalk of the first DORA, and you could pick up your second drink at the second DORA. So it's easier if your DORA is larger than if your DORA is smaller.
And the intention was that with the square, that they would be able to walk in any of the perimeter of that square. Once they get to the boundary of the square, there would be signage that would indicate that they wouldn't be able to take their open container outside of that boundary. And the goal was to kind of incorporate all of the downtown businesses, Prairie Creek Park, and then
Pepe's, Greeks,
yeah.
those type of places.
places that serve alcohol. There also can be vendors who are not permanent vendors that can apply to be a part of the DORA, and they could park food trucks or that sort of thing, and they could also participate in the DORA as well. So that gives us some space to put those vendors if we so desire.
Won't they also have signs on the businesses that don't want it in there?
Correct.
So,
Yes.
You know, I guess I don't see the value of having that ability to do that. What would be the positive thing of it that's going on?
Well, for example, if you were to have a concert at Veterans Park and you were also to have a concert at Prairie Creek Park, if this was utilized for the hot dog festival at any time, they could take their alcoholic beverage and they could walk from one concert to the other concert without having to get rid of that alcoholic beverage. So they could go across town and they could go from this concert to this concert and not have to dump it out. Or they could go from Pepe's to, let's say I go out to dinner and I get a drink at Pepe's and then I go to the concert in the park because we allow that to be a DORA. I could walk from Pepe's over to the concert in the park and I could take my drink with me as opposed to having to finish it at the door at Pepe's and then go to the concert.
It's the
So
same
that's
thing
the-
with Thursday Thunder. You can
Yeah.
actually walk around with them at Thursday Thunder if that event is a DORA.
Right.
I'm not saying all of these events have to be. That's up to whoever is putting these events on. So,
And the Board of Works.
and the Board of Works, correct?
That's what I was going to ask you. So who could have a DORA event? I know you said Main Street, City of Frankfurt. Can anybody?
Technically, anybody could apply, but they'd have to provide an application to the Board of Works through the permitting process, and they would have to get special permission from the Board of Works and give those details to the Board of Works and get approval before it would happen.
Yeah, that's what
But-
I was asking.
Yes.
earlier.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
could
You can't
apply?
just
Who
on a
can't?
regular Tuesday. You can't on a regular Tuesday just take your cup from Pepe's and go to Greeks. It all has to be within a DORA.
Designated time,
Yep.
date.
Right.
Okay.
And there's also very typically some level of security at all of these events.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the police department has, I don't know if they've seen the ordinance, but they were in communication with us when we were talking about what these guidelines needed to look like.
I have not sent the ordinance to them, but I did use your guidelines that you had worked with the police department to draft it.
It's a boost in economic development, and I know that word gets tossed around quite a bit. But in order to keep our downtown vibrant and moving, and including them in events, this is a way to do that. Because we don't necessarily have to have an alcohol vendor down at the beer garden at Prairie Creek Park now. If we had a DORA set up, they would be able to take from Pepe's and go straight in, or Greeks, or wherever that looks like. And you're starting to get more of an idea of getting community rally around the downtown businesses. It's something that I talked about at the last meeting that I've kind of watched over the last year of how other communities are doing this. Some are large DORAs and some are smaller, but I feel like this kind of incorporates our downtown businesses in that square. And getting them involved in some of our community events. I'd love to do more sip-in shops, get our small businesses involved. I'd love to work with Kim Stevens on some of our other events and get, our small businesses, just another way to elevate them and to get people downtown.
Well, I know you kept me up on this pretty well, appreciate it. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to pass ordinance number 2508.
I'd second it.
On first reading.
First reading,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Nay.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
It did pass.
Okay, ordinance number 25-08 passed on first reading. Next, we have ordinance 25-09.
I'll move to read ordinance 2509 by title only.
I'll second it. Oh,
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Common Council, City of Frankfort, Indiana, ordinance number 25-09, an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance of the City of Frankfort, Indiana.
So Alicia, since this is for the Unified Development Ordinance, it just has to go
Yes.
through one reading?
Yes,
Okay.
it just needs to be adopted. So essentially, the process, again, for this is that it goes in front of the City Plan Commission. There is a public hearing on it, all of those good things. They make a recommendation to the City Council, and then the City Council either approves it or denies it, or takes no action. If the City Council approves it, then it becomes an ordinance and is adopted into our Unified Development Ordinance. If you deny it, you can recommend changes to it, or you can just flat deny it, and then it does not pass, or you can take no action, and after it's presented to the council after 90 days, then it would become part of the Unified Development Ordinance if you didn't take any action.
Does anybody have any, Don's here if anybody has any
The reason
questions.
for it.
This is the rezoning, is this the rezoning?
This is the rezoning on 1101 to 1103 East Clinton.
Okay. So in that rezone, what happened was when the Unified Development Ordinance was put in place, we had to rezone the city itself. And this is one of the properties that got caught in a rezone from changing it from a C residential to a B residential. This property at 1101, 1103 East Clinton Street has 5 apartments, considered a multifamily dwelling. And it was originally a C residential, which made it legal. We made it illegal by making it a B residential. So the Plan Commission said that as long as this was originally designated as a C residential, they're happy to take it and put it back as a C residential. So that's why that got passed and recommended to you to be passed so that this property would become legal. I tried to get this done before the property got sold because it considered a non-conforming use, and I'm trying to get it done. Couldn't quite get it taken care of before the property got sold. Caused a little bit of a challenge with the new owners as they didn't quite understand what was all going on. All that got explained to them at the Plan Commission. And so now we're trying to just make them a legal use again as they were at the beginning. The next applicant or the next zone issue was at 1401 South First Street. The owners are here in case you have any questions for them. But what happened there was, this is an empty lot located on South First Street.
That's a different ordinance.
That's the
Is it
other
a different
ordinance.
ordinance?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a different
I'll wait.
ordinance.
I'll
Yeah,
wait for that.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I thought they were
25-10.
together.
Yeah, right now we're, 25-09. If
Okay,
you'll wait
thank you,
just a
Mayor.
second. Mhm.
Thank you.
I would like to make a motion, we pass ordinance 2509 on first reading.
Just adopt it, yeah.
Yeah, we don't really have to have 2 readings on that.
Let's just adopt it.
Okay, go ahead.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez. Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 25-09 was approved. Okay, now on to ordinance 25-10.
So do we have to read by title only on?
You don't technically have to. It doesn't hurt anything if you want to,
See,
but you don't.
originally I thought we did this by resolution, but it actually has to be a one-read ordinance.
Yep, and the reason it's one read is because it's already gone in front of the Plan Commission and had the hearing.
Okay.
And it has to have an ordinance because it's part of that unified, right?
Yes, yes, it's an ordinance because it's part of the Unified Development Ordinance. Yep.
Okay.
Do you want Don to go ahead and give you an explanation on this?
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
Thank you very much. This is located at 1401 South First Street. The petitioners are here, the owners of the property, and what we would like to do is we would like to rezone this from a B residential to a C residential to be able to place a duplex on the lot. And I'm going to give you the full story, and it may take a couple minutes, but just bear with me, because at the beginning, when this was coming before the Plan Commission, I was totally against the rezone. I've explained to the owners why. This is all residential, single-family dwelling neighborhood, and I'm opposed to doing a zoning change of zoning in the middle of a residential district. But then things have changed, and that is next week before the Plan Commission will be Tony Del Real's subdivision potential coming just not even a block away from this property. And part of that development will be duplexes as part of their subdivision. So that changed my whole format on the process, because if we're going to allow, if the Plan Commission allows this duplex residential group to be put in place not more than a block away, then why can't they do it on this property also? The property is large enough to do off-street parking as would be required for the two subdivisions or the two duplexes. And then, as I'm hoping you have received, that the things that you have to consider under this rezoning, and both you and the Plan Commission, are 5 items. 1, the most recently adopted comprehensive plan. Well, the comprehensive plan now says that we need to eliminate them, because when the plan was put in place, all of the all the big homes were being moved into apartment complexes. They wanted to put that to a stop, so they requested that in the comprehensive plan that, hey, we need to make this illegal. We're going to try to eliminate 8 of them a year. And of course, that is something that isn't done. But then you go a little bit further down the process, and that is, we've just got through doing a study of the needs of the community of Frankfort, and housing was a big need, and that covers everything from single-family dwellings to duplexes to multifamily dwellings. And so this falls into place as far as the ability to have duplexes, an item that is needed in our community. So to fully go with the comprehensive plan that's in place now, I think that with the residential program that was put in place, it now says totally different than what the comprehensive plan says. The second thing you take in consideration is the current condition and character of structure and uses in each district. This parcel is located at 1401 South First Street. It's an empty lot. The only multifamily home is located at 1352 South Columbia, and I don't even know if that's legal, because I don't know if it's actually been okayed to be there, but that's another case. And all other residents are single-family dwellings. And number 3, the most desirable use for which the land in each district is adapted. This property was B residential before new zoning maps. The 2035 comprehensive plan talks about downzoning for primarily single-family use. The city just completed a housing study which calls for housing from multifamilies to single-family to affordable housing. So it's the fact that even if we didn't do anything and it was in a B residential, they could go to the BZA and try to get a variance for that and a special exception. I can tell you it will not pass. And here's why it will not pass in the Board of Zoning Appeals. And that is, in a B residential, you can only have 6 units per acre, units being living facilities. And with that multifamily complex on the back side, that's 3. And within an acre, the duplex would then put it up over 8 to almost 9 units. And so the BZA wouldn't pass it. That's why I went to the Plan Commission, hoping that we could potentially get it rezoned. And as I said before, I was against it until Tony Del Real's property became very, very active. The fourth thing you take under consideration is the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction. As I mentioned before, they're all but one property is single family. And the fifth thing that you take in consideration is the responsible development and growth. As mentioned above, the city just completed a housing study calling for all different housing groups, multifamily, single-family, large apartments, and affordable housing. Here's an individual who was born and raised in Frankfort, moved out, wants to come back and develop a property into a duplex in which there'll be multiple duplexes down the street within a block. It only makes sense that this would get completed or get rezoned so that they could make this into that duplex. It has plenty of property to do their off-street parking, so you're not adding more parking problems in the neighborhood. And so for me, when I look at it that as long as they're not adding to the parking problems in the community, why not allow it to be done? So the Plan Commission passed it and is now recommending it to you guys, to the City Council for the potential of the rezone to C residential.
Did they bring any of those blueprints they had at the planning commission?
Yeah.
Okay. You might have, I've seen the design of it, and I think it's actually a great idea. And they were very professional the way they did it.
Thank you.
Do you have one?
I've got one at home.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice.
I'd live there.
Are the doorways facing the street or?
Yes, the doorway's facing the street.
Parking's in the rear.
Parking will be in the rear off the alley where it belongs.
You're talking one duplex on this property?
One duplex.
Okay.
Looks nice.
Everything I've seen, I really like it.
Looks good.
I don't have time to read this, but, okay, is that like a two-bedroom duplex, or what are they?
2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Two-bedroom, two-bath, okay. I'm sure it's in here somewhere, but,
All lettering, right, most of the information, it's just,
Each duplex, what, 800, 900 square feet, something like that?
I think about, altogether it's about 2,200 square
Okay.
feet.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's about right, okay, okay. Sounds pretty nice to me,
yeah.
you know.
It does, it's all it's all coded and like what the county requested in regards to the from the neighbors as well as parking, greenery. Yes, it just complies with everything Frankfort was asking for, so I made sure with the architect.
Okay.
And no neighbor spoke against it at city plan?
Nobody came to city plan. Well, we had one person, and her concern was she thought that there were multiple duplexes coming in on the property, and what was it going to do to the value of her house? And a legitimate question to be asked, but once she understood that it was only one duplex, two apartments, then they were okay with it.
We need to do this.
Do you have any other questions?
I remember the presentation they gave in the other meeting, so the lady that was concerned about it she was very relieved, so.
And then this would be the same way as the one you just passed.
Yes.
A
So
motion
make
for
a motion to
approval.
accept ordinance 2510.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 25-10 is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. See if I can find my resolutions, okay. Next on the agenda, we have resolution number 25-04. It's a resolution directing transfer of appropriated funds. And this, I'd ask for the council to approve the funds being from the part-time helpline and the building services to the contractual services. They're going to need extra money in that line item, and they're not right now currently using their part-time budget and don't intend to. Is that correct, Don?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay.
Which one was 2501?
4.
And this is 25-04.
25-04.
Okay. I just looked at that a minute ago.
Move to pass resolution 2504.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 25-04 passes. Next, we have resolution 25-05, and it's a resolution directing transfer of appropriated funds. I believe you know about that one.
That
Carol,
one
correct?
is for the clerk treasurer's office. Due to the increasing cost of supplies, in our case particularly, we use a lot of paper, check forms, and toner cartridges. We're just going to run short this year in our supply line, so I'm asking to move funds from my part-time line into the supply line. Any questions for me?
I make a motion we approve resolution number 2505.
Okay.
Somebody
You're
over
going to give it to
here.
Robert? Robert Joe? Okay,
Roll
thank
call,
you.
please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens. Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, resolution.
Thank you.
Resolution number 25-05 passes. Next, we have old business. Does anybody have anything under old business? I don't have anything. Next, we have new business, and we have the approval of CF1s. Has everyone had the opportunity to look at their CF1s, and is there any questions or?
Mayor, I'll move to pass CF1s for Zachary BPP, Wolf, Buck, Donaldson's, Real and Donaldson's, personal.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Isaac Chavez.
Aye.
Taylor Crenshaw.
Aye.
John Large.
Aye.
Robert Stevens.
Aye.
Clarence Worthen.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, we have approval for Zachary BPP, Wolf Buck Incorporated, Donaldson's Real, and Donaldson's PVP.
The Wolf Buck is the real property for Zachary.
Okay, does anybody have anything?
Motion made. Second.
Okay, thank you so much for being here this evening.